Selma Teacher 7, Mr. Barry here. Today I want to look into the reasons why I like the Acer Chromebook 15 Touch. And let's start with reason number 1, being that I can do Android apps full screen and other applications full screen on a separate monitor. Let's take a look. So normally this is the way that I use my Acer Chromebook. The only difference would be normally my Acer Chromebook is over on the left and my big screen is over on the right. Now, when I click on show multiple windows, it goes in and I can actually see all the apps that are running on this display as well as on this one here. And on this I have the Clash of Clans, and then I have one of my books is up, so I'm editing that. And over on this screen I have my Twilight Zone. So now what I'll do is I'm going to click on this one here and have everything going as if I was working with it. Notice it's very, very fast. I can do my Clash of Clans and be watching my movie over here. So let me play the movie. Let's see. There we go. So normally, whenever I'm doing work, I have a show, some type of TV program going on, maybe Twilight Zone, The Price is Right. I have a lot of favorites. And that's usually playing while I'm doing my work over here. So let me pause this here. And let's say that I checked my Clash of Clans and now I want to go in and do my work. Well, I'll click on the button that is above the 6 there to show multiple windows. And now I'll click on my work. This is lesson 10 from my book, and this is going over comparing solid state drives and hard disk drives. So now I can go in there. And also, I do really love the keyboard and the mouse and the touchscreen, but in this configuration, I'm using an external keyboard and an external mouse. So let's play the movie here. There we go. And then I'll go in and begin editing my book. There you go. So as I'm typing here, my messages are coming up here. And like I said earlier, normally I have my laptop in front of me, and then the big screen is over onto the side. But I have it configured this way just so that you can see everything working together. So that leads us to reason number 2, productivity. So let's take a look.
Not right away. All right?
Yes, Mommy.
Okay, now we see the laptop as it should be. I unplugged the keyboard, the external mouse, and the display, and I'm using it all as a portable device. So here's Twilight Zone working here. Then you mute that. There we go. As it plays, I'm going to be showing you what I do with my work on the other side. So here I have Google Docs open to one of my chapters in my book. And I can edit all the books that I have, by the way, and all my scripts, everything, all my lessons were all created using Google Docs. Now I do have Microsoft Office online, as you can see here. However, I've actually found Google Docs to have more features and to be easier to use than Microsoft Word. And I used to use Microsoft Word solely. That's all I used during the 1990s, all the way up to about 2011. And then I switched, went to Google Docs, and I never gone back. Now, I do still have Microsoft Office, and I use it just occasionally just to create lessons when that is being called for to be showing something in Microsoft Word. But let's just see what Google Docs does for me here. I can insert images, as you see here, or actually create images. So this is a created image that I made. I can insert text and go with tables as well. I can also go in and do things such as word art. So let's just say that I click down here and I want to insert some word art. I just go over here to insert and then down to drawing. And then from there I go to actions and then I click on WordArt. And this is to say that I type in M.2 drives, and then when I'm done I hit enter, and there's M.2 drives. Now I can go in and change my font, so I'm going to go in and change it to Lobster, change my color to, let's say I want orange, and then I'm going to rotate it just a little bit there. There we go. And I'll just click on save there, and it puts it in for me. Now from here I can go in and resize it. You can do other things too, such as change its wrapping style, and also how I can make it float in front of pictures or behind pictures, whatever you need to do. I can also, like I said, insert images. So if I go in and let's say I wanted an image to appear here, I'll go click on insert image, and then I can choose upload from my computer or search the web, or I can actually look at my own pictures that I've already saved in my Google Photos. So as you can see, I really use this machine as a document creation, and I also use it for creating videos. As you see, I'm actually doing it right now while I'm playing a movie, so it's really doing a lot of work for me. And that leads us to our next point. It's battery life. So let's take a look. Now on the topic to battery life, I've been able to use this machine all day long to do my work. And you say, well, yeah, maybe so. What does that actually mean? So what I did yesterday is I unplugged it from power, and then I had to do a video. So I was running a video all day, and the video volume was set at 50%. And I started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I would watch it as I was doing my work and on another machine, just keeping my eye on it. And the battery lasted 11 hours and 15 minutes until it was down there to, it said 1% going to turn off. So there you go. Now with the computer here, you can actually go in, and if I go into new tab, you can type in a command, and I'll show the command here now. If you type in this command, it will show you your battery life and other aspects about your battery, like how many watts you're actually consuming at that time. And here's some screenshots I took right after the test. So in this screenshot in the blue, we see the gradual discharging of the battery, and notice we started at just around 8 o'clock in the morning, and it goes all the way down, and it stopped at 7:15 in the evening. Below that we see the wattage used. So the red line that you see there on that second chart is actually the wattage being used, and it fluctuates depending on the sound that's going on in the video. And that takes us to our next point, sound quality. Now here we have two speakers, and I was actually using the internal speakers during the battery test, so I wasn't trying to cheat and make it go longer. I was using the battery, and I had the touchscreen, everything was enabled, and I had not touched or changed the brightness on the keyboard. By the way, you can change the brightness on the keyboard if you ever want to. Simply click on Alt and then the smaller circle there for dim, and if you want it back on, click on Alt and then you click on the bright button, which I show here on the overhead. There you go, now it's back on. So the audio quality is great. I really love it. I haven't had any issues with it. Now when I first got the unit from Amazon, I did notice a crackling sound the very first day I used it, but it only occurred for a few seconds. By the time I walked back into my office to see what was going on, the sound never came back. It was gone, and I haven't been able to find the source of it. Now since then, I've been in communication with other people, and there's one person who says, well, yeah, she had the same type of problem, but it was a continuous crackling sound that happened all the time while the sound was going on. That's terrible. So she returned them and then got some other ones. Now what I did on this unit, because I really want to know what could have caused that, so I went all out on this problem, trying to figure out what may have caused it to crackle. Now again, for me it only happened for about 1.5 to 2 seconds max, and by the time I came back to the office to see what the sound was, it was totally gone, and I could never replicate that sound. I had the volume on max, and since then that's the way I usually have it playing. Most of the time is on max, and then I'm doing my work. What I did, I actually dismantled the entire unit and I removed the speakers, and I looked at the speakers to see if there's any type of cracked or broken plastic, or to see if the diaphragm was, something wrong with the diaphragm. Maybe it was cracked or had something wrong with it. I found no defects. I rebuilt the machine, put it all back together, and as you can see today, it's been working well. I then went in and I started talking to other people and what could cause something like this. And one of the ideas that came back was, well, maybe, just maybe, at the warehouse or someplace during manufacturing, some of the units were exposed to a strong magnetic field. And what that could do is that could distort the diaphragm and cause the magnet to attach or get stuck to one side of the diaphragm. And then right when you turned on the sound, you would hear that crackling sound until the magnet freed itself from that one edge, and that would allow the diaphragm to move freely there again without the crackling sound. So that was one idea that came out, that perhaps some of the units were exposed to a magnetic field, and that's why we're hearing that. Anyway, like I said, I haven't had that problem except for that 1.5 to 2 seconds, and that was it. Going on beyond the audio, we have the keyboard. Now the keyboard is a backlit keyboard, and I love that because sometimes I work at night, and it's just really nice to have a backlit keyboard. Here's what the keyboard actually looks like in total darkness. And as I said earlier, you can adjust or turn off that backlit simply by going to Alt and then Dim, and then if you want it back on, you go Alt key and then Bright. So going on next, we have the touchscreen. Now I really love the touchscreen. It's really nice because I can go in and I can zoom in on things, zoom out, whatever I need to do there. It's very responsive. I do play Android applications and Android games on this machine, and it's very responsive for that. So I like the touchscreen. As far as the brightness, I don't know if you can see it there, but it's very, very bright and crystal clear. I did go with the full high definition 1080p screen. I didn't go with the standard resolution. There is one model from the Acer Chromebook 15 line. I think it's the CB3532 or so. That has a standard display, and it's dimmer, because I have one of those too. It's dimmer and it's not as clear. So when you set these two together, right away you'll see that the older model has a dimmer display. It's not nearly as bright. The contrast is lower, so there's not this full contrast that you see here, and that also means that the colors in the older model look more muted or less saturated. So overall, I really love this display, both the touchscreen and the brightness and the visual appearance of it. Next off, let's go with the actual construction of this unit. Well, it has very easy to see and to feel and to listen to it. This is a full aluminum chassis down here around the keyboard and touchpad. So this is all aluminum, and it also goes around, so you have aluminum all along the sides, which is nice. If you look on the top of the lid, I thought this was just pure plastic at first because of the sound it was making. Now I have many laptops, both ones that have the plastic lids and others that have a full aluminum lid, such as the Apple laptops. And it didn't sound the same as the aluminum laptops there from Apple, yet it didn't quite sound the same as the plastic one. So I was rather confused for a while until I finally dug into it and found this. It has a thin aluminum veneer. So this is aluminum, Underneath this, and this is why it's so wide right here, underneath this you have a shell of plastic for support. So you have a support structure underneath this. It's making contact with the aluminum, so when it gets banged or something like that, it doesn't dent as easily as a thin aluminum sheet would, because it has that backing of plastic. So there you go. That solves the riddle of the problem. It is aluminum veneer over a plastic shell for the lid. As far as everything else though, you do have nice, and it's thicker aluminum down there. For the bottom of it, it is plastic there. And now let's go on to the ports. So we'll go over on this side here. We have the microphone, then we have the micro SD, then a standard USB Type A, and then we have the newer USB Type C. On the other side, we have the Kingston lock, USB Type C, and both of those USB Type C's are for power, so you can actually plug in your charger right into either side. And then another USB Type A, and that's it. Now if you want to connect this to a monitor that is an HDMI monitor, how are you going to do that? Well, you plug in one of these. This is a simple adapter, and it has a USB Type C on one side and HDMI on the other. So that worked great for sending out the image to an external display. So now you know why I love and use my Acer Chromebook 15 Touch every day, just about all day long. Please click on thumbs up, share the video, and leave comments down below, because I love to read your comments, and I do try to answer any questions that you have about that. I also have another video, a reviewing of the same product there, and I'll leave the link there at the end of this video there. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.